Hello and welcome back. I am Hannah from Blue Ferret Boarding, and this month we've been looking at different colourings in ferrets, the different names for the colourings. I'm not digging too deep into this, I'm really just explaining the main, the upper levels. You can sort of split them all up a bit. Bean is what we would call a silver. The reason for being a silver rather than a white is that if you can see, for all she's mainly white, there's a lot of black guard hairs in here. Not huge amounts, certainly not as much as you would have got with the polies in week 1 where you're seeing a lot of guard hairs, but there's enough black guard hairs in here for us to say that she is a silver. If there were no black guard hairs, I can't speak, if all of this was white and the only thing that told you that she wasn't an albino was the fact that she had black eyes, then, or in this case a black nose, then we would call them a black-eyed white. I tend to call them a black-eyed white, or some people just call them whites. So she's a silver. The best bit, I mean, Bean is just so gorgeous. She has these really black eyes, and again, if you look back at the polies week 1, and I'll put a link down here, in week 1, if you look at their eyes, hopefully the camera will pick it up enough that they had dark brown or brown eyes where you can see that this is black, proper black. And obviously Bean's nose, hold on a minute, I just need to use some of our patented formula WD oil, grooming oil for ferrets, available now on our website. A special formula made in conjunction with a scientist and a vet approved. So there you go, Beanie Boo. Hopefully with Bean then you can see that lovely black nose, and it's that huge black nose along with the black eyes that make her particularly stunning. She's also got this little podgy tummy to die for. So this is a good, typical, particularly beautiful silver. So then everybody, this here is Avocado. If you're wondering where the names come from for these two guys, Avocado and Little Cato, I refer you to Netflix series Final Space. So hopefully straight off you can see quite a few differences between the beautiful Bean and the rather daft but gorgeous Avocado here. Firstly, he's a boy. Secondly, he's huge. He's actually our biggest ferret, but Spooks, who you met last week in Albinos, is a close runner-up. This guy, Avocado, and his brother Little Cato, were found, I think it was in Crook somewhere, and they'd just been abandoned. So again, he wasn't this big when we got him. He's pretty much doubled in size, but that's because he was a young boy. So at first glance, you would look at this boy and say he's a white, a black-eyed white. And you know what? I'd be quite happy if somebody were to put him in that class if I was going to show him, which I wouldn't, other than at fun ferret rescue type shows. But actually, if you look very carefully, there are literally 1 or 2 black guard hairs. Whether or not you can see them from the camera, I honestly don't know, because I had to look carefully to see them. But there are literally, there's probably quite a few in there, but literally they're few and far between. I can literally see a couple. There's 2 there, 1, 2, 3 there, and maybe there's a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 there. So there's literally very, very few, where with Bean, you could see that they were there. Big difference as well is he's got that beautiful black eyes, although his are more of a, what would I call them? I think I'd call them like a charcoal. Would you call that charcoal? They're not as protruding, but again, that's partly, I think, because of his face at the minute, because it's got a lot of that podge on it, that podginess of babiness. And he's clearly got a very pink nose, which our lovely Bean had that beautiful striking black nose that sets her apart and makes her particularly gorgeous. Close your ears, Cato. So this is either a black-eyed white, nice black eyes, pink nose, pretty much white throughout. So if you weren't looking at his head, you could easily mistake him for an albino, especially with the nose. You could mistake him with an albino. But as soon as you see those eyes and see the black in those eyes, you can see that he is actually a black-eyed white. So this is the big, fat, gorgeously daft avocado. Squirmy boy extraordinaire. Say bye-bye, Kato. Bye-bye, Kato. So finally this week I introduce you to Lil Kato. Again, a bit like Red, who you met the last of my albino ferrets to show you last week. A bit like him, this is a teeny male ferret who again will sometimes get mistaken for a Jill because he's so tiny, but he is actually pretty much a fully grown ferret. He is still young. He's pretty much the same age as Avocado, we believe, and again we're telling that mainly from teeth and behavior and other bits and pieces. Again, a bit like Avocado, this little boy is actually a black-eyed white, in that with Avocado I can't actually see any black guard hairs. They might not have been picked up on the camera, but there's some tiny sort of light tanny guard hairs here, but nothing more than that. So I would probably call him at this point a black-eyed white. He is starting to get browner colouring down here and down his tail a little bit, so he might even, just to confuse us all, he might actually soon turn into being some sort of sandy colouring when he next molts, because there is this browny sort of tan beigey colouring coming in there just to confuse us all. You can tell him though, he's got these wonderful jet black, again, big beady prominent eyes, a bit like Spooks, with the sort of sticky out prominent and a very long muzzle. And again, to me, he looks very much like a little mouse, and I call him Little Mouse sometimes for that reason. Again, he's got the pink nose. So don't forget to tune in again next week, and we'll see you then. Take care, guys. Bye bye.